We're here in Los Angeles, California, with LA's own Daniel Bryan. What's the haps, Daniel Bryan?
Not much. I actually lived here for a brief period of time.
Did you?
Yeah, oh yeah, from 2002 till 2005. I lived in Santa Monica. I slept on a dojo floor for most of that time. But
So it wasn't the LA life. It wasn't like the Miz living in LA.
no, although I did for a brief time get to live in Santa Monica for free on 6th Street. Like right there by the 3rd Street Promenade, you know, and in a really swank apartment, probably the nicest apartment I've ever lived in, for free, just because like Inoki Sports Management was like, oh yeah, you're wrestling for us all the time now, so you can just live there. We have it. Nobody. I roomed with Lyoto Machida of UFC fame for a brief period. So yeah.
What was he doing there?
He was training to fight. It was before his first professional fight. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah.
So what were you doing in LA? Why were you living there for? Why were you located? Because obviously that was the life of an independent wrestler is, especially at that time for you, was everywhere.
Yes.
So why was LA the spot?
Because Inoki Sports Management had a deal with New Japan. It was essentially New Japan Pro Wrestling's dojo out here, and so by going there, I could train there and get me into New Japan. So
Gotcha.
It was just a kind of a political connections thing, but it also was like it was a great training spot to go train wrestle and stuff like that.
Right.
So
You've been out since right after WrestleMania. I mean, right after the pay-per-view after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And it was very weird timing because you finally had gotten the spot,
Right.
and then you left. And Macho Man Randy Savage always said, "Don't leave your spot."
Right.
Was there any of that in you? Like, was there any sort of like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to leave my spot since I finally have it?
I didn't want to get the surgery.
Right.
They made me get the surgery.
WWE did?
Yeah. And but the deal was that so I'd been dealing with this neck issue since June or July of last year, and Doc Amon from WWE said, at some point you're going to need to get this surgery. We're just, but we'll wait. What happened is I had pain running down my arm for a long period of time, but pain is okay.
See, that's the difference between you and me. That's why you're a man who stops robbers and trains and stuff. Because for me, pain is not okay.
But then about 10 days before I got the surgery, I went to unlock my car and I couldn't. I didn't have the strength in my arm to unlock my car. And so when you have weakness, that's when it's like, okay, the nerve is really getting frayed down and you risk losing that strength for your life, for the rest of your life. So that's why it was important that they go in and do the surgery. And like, I was against it. I told them like, hey, can we just wait until I lose the title and then we can do something? And then, but they were like, no, we need to do it now.
Yeah.
So.
Because I guess at that point they're like, well, we don't have any plans for you to lose the title, so you just got to go do it.
Yeah. So.
Have you been watching the product while you've been recouping, or are you just taking a break?
So I've been watching the pay-per-views, and my wife and I just bought a new house, and I got cable for the first time in years. And so
Was that begrudgingly?
No, it was mostly because like I'd gotten out of the habit of watching myself, which is important for development and all that kind of stuff, because I would go on YouTube to try to find it. For my first couple of years in WWE, it was easy to go online and find like, okay, I'll go online and find my match from Monday or whatever, but it became increasingly more difficult for me to do that, and like so it's hard to see if you're getting better or see what you don't like and see what you like and all that kind of stuff. So then I just broke down and got cable so that I could DVR it.
Fuck it, I'll DVR.
Right, yeah. And then but then so I've got this cable, right, and the only things I've watched are Raw, which I've DVR'd, and then the UFC fights. And so it's like, I don't know how I can justify spending this $100 a month, because the UFC is on like Fox Sports 1, which doesn't come in the regular cable package.
So you have to buy the premium.
So you have to buy the premium cable package to get this thing, and I'm like, what? Like, why am I spending so much money to watch television for like so little time? Like, it's unbelievable.
You haven't picked up on any shows? You haven't seen Breaking Bad reruns or anything like that?
No.
It's funny too, and we saw it on the reality show that you're finally in a spot where you're making money, and a lot of guys who go a long time without making like big money, and they finally get the spot, are like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that Mercedes, I'm gonna buy. But you're sitting there going like, we're not spending that money on wedding invitations, we're not buying premium cable, we're not doing this. Are you just like, Are you a pack rat? Do you like to just put your money away and save it and pretend it's not there?
Well, the thing is that so our careers can be very short, right? And you never know.
Well, obviously.
You never know what you're gonna get. And I just come from a family that didn't have a lot of money, and it's better to use your money wisely. And I feel like if you're smart with your money, pro wrestlers, we don't make like football player money or basketball player money or baseball player money, you know what I mean? So the money that we make, we have to be able to save it, and because I don't have any job skills. Don't tell anybody, but I don't have any job skills.
I've been spending years sleeping on dojo floors, learning nothing else.
I've been wrestling since I was 18 years old, and like, okay, I know how to grow food and stuff like that, but guess what? Nobody's going to pay me for that. No, like, I can grow my own, but like, so Bree and I's plan is kind of to have our own little self-sufficient farm that would just, produce enough for us to be able to live and not have to spend a lot of money. And like, one of the things that I think has been discounted as far as in today's economy and all that kind of stuff goes is people should be learning self-sufficiency, because jobs are not always going to be there, and so my idea is that we don't need a lot of money to survive, and we don't need all this stuff that people are constantly telling us that, oh, you need to buy this and you need to buy that.
Right.
I was reading this fascinating book on schooling and education and everything, talking about how
when you're doing that, that's when most people are watching like Breaking Bad.
Right, yeah. But like the institution of schooling was like introduced by like Andrew Carnegie, of like mandatory schooling. We need to get everybody to go into school, but it's not mostly, but a lot of it is just teaching people to be consumers, and like we don't need to consume all this stuff. Like, why? Why do we need to have all this new stuff all the time? It doesn't make any sense, and especially if you don't have any money. Like, so.
Right.
So,
but I don't know how you escape the excitement of every single fall. Oh, the new iPhone's out? I gotta. Okay. Like that just doesn't hit you.
No, so I had an iPhone 4, right?
All right.
And it was cracked and had all the glass broken on the back, and I just kept it. But Bree got these Blackberries from the Total Divas people, and they're like, oh, here's this new phone, and we'll just give it to you guys. And Bree and I were joining our accounts because we had just gotten married, and we're like, oh, okay, I'll try.
But you're not gonna pay 2 phone bills.
Yeah, I'll try a new phone. So we got this Blackberry, right? I didn't know how to work it at all. I had it for like 2 days, and then I broke down. I took it back, and I was ready. I was up for a free upgrade, but because I had this free BlackBerry, I was like, oh, no need to waste anything on that, and we're joining plans or whatever, So I was like, oh, can I still get my free upgrade, because we kind of threw away my old phone, and then now this BlackBerry, I don't like it, and they're like, no. That upgrade's gone and passed. It was literally like 2 days before.
Yeah.
And so, so now I have an iPhone 5.
Well, you said you live in the world of like self-sufficiency, and you need food, you just grow it. So you could walk into a store and say, well, 2 days ago you said I could have an upgrade, so can I have that upgrade?
Right.
Well, no, you didn't read in the contract.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And so, it's like, it just, I don't know. The world doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like I look at it and I'm very confused. And Bree sometimes gets frustrated with me because I was like, how the other day we were at the Teen Choice Awards, right? And then, oh my gosh, it was the most bizarre thing. Okay, did you read the Hunger Games books?
No.
Okay, they were interesting. They were interesting. They're marketed towards, I think, teen girls. But
right.
There was actually a very interesting concept in it. And like Kane, of all people, is the one who convinced me to read the Hunger Games, because he's like this big libertarian, right? And so like very intelligent. And like,
by the way, I do want every wrestling fan who's listening or watching this to get the visual of like, oh, I wonder what goes on backstage. Daniel Bryan and Kane sit there reading Hunger Games books.
Yeah, no. Well, he had this Mockingjay on his backpack. I was like, oh, that's weird. That's weird for it's just weird. So, anyways, I was like, he's like, no, they're actually very good books. You should, in his very intelligent speak, he said they're actually very good books. I was reading it. I was like, this is like the Teen Choice Awards. They're talking about like how the people in the Capitol dress up in like this crazy makeup and all this kind of stuff. And I was at the Teen Choice Awards and was like, this is so weird. And all these people are like, and all this makeup, and they think these celebrities are so important and such a big deal, and none of these people are doing anything worthwhile for the planet. Not that none of them are, but for the most, why they're cheering them is not because they've actually done anything vital. Like the way they cheer me, I'm not doing anything vital. Like, I do this, and like, And like, there's all these people trying to improve the world, and like, no, we're celebrating this like glut of nothing, and I'm like, ugh. I was sitting there, and then this girl comes on stage and sings, and I was like, oh, this is fun. And then, like,
It's catchy. I like this song. Oh, I get this.
Right, yeah.
You're cheering by the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I watched some interview. There's a singer named Jason Mraz, and like the hook of the interview, he was on the Today Show, and they were like, you have an avocado farm. And it was like, this was the most bizarre story that Matt Lauer or any of them had ever heard.
Right, yeah.
Because he had decided to use his money to grow avocados, because he was like, well, no, I grow them for me and my friends.
Yeah, well, and like, okay, so, you know, they say something like it used to be that 53% or something of the American population were in farming, right? And now it's only 2%. And like, when you look at that, that's a scary statistic. And when you look at the people who don't know how to do like basic things, like, you know, and they do this, the core whatever education stuff like now. And I'm like, why aren't we teaching people like basic skills?
Yeah.
For example, my grandfather built a house by himself. Right?
Alone.
Well, I mean, like, my dad kind of helped him, right? But like, he built this house. He didn't have contractors or anything like that. He built a house. And then, like, my dad kind of helped him. But my dad could redo a bathroom, right? He could entirely redo a bathroom, but he couldn't build a whole house, right? And I would kind of help my dad with that. Me, I can fix a toilet, right? So here we are in 2 generations. We've gone from the ability to build an entire house to me only being able to fix a toilet. And that is an incredible loss of knowledge.
And eventually
like,
you're going to have a kid who's just looking at a plunger. Like, what is this?
He'll look at the key to a car and not know how to use it because everything is automated. And like, oh, wait, what do you mean I can't unlock my kitchen door with my phone? Like, you know, I have to insert something and then twist it? Oh, that's barbaric. That's, you know, like, I don't know. The whole culture, it blows my mind, everything.
Well, speaking of mind-blowing, we were talking to Bree right before you got here about your house getting robbed. And as much as, you know, you feel violated when your house gets robbed, and as much as it's horrible that he took this bracelet that your dad had made for you, the moment when you realize, I'm about to catch that guy, like you're running after him, and you're like, I'm about to catch him, and when I catch him, he's done. How good does that feel?
Yeah, well, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking, I was just angry. I don't get very angry very often.
Right.
Like, my anger moments are few and far between. And I was so angry, I wasn't thinking. And then when I finally caught up to them, and he was so tired, and it was like 110 degrees outside, and like I had sprinted all this way. He's like, I'm sorry.
You apologize.
Yeah, and like I wasn't even it wasn't gratifying to me at all. It was pure like, I have to get him.
Right. It's animalistic.
Yeah.
This is next.
And you know, and you're very lucky, and it was a very poor decision. Like, you know, looking back on it, you know, there's this horror stories. There's this kickboxing world champion who somebody like robbed his car, and I didn't know this until after. People have sent me all these horrible stories about what could have happened, you know, and the police told me, they said, thank you for what you did, but you should have never done that.
Right.
And like, but there's this kickboxing world champion. Like, this guy could beat me up easily, right? Guy's breaking into his car. He chases after him. The guy runs because that's their natural instinct. But when he realizes this guy is going to catch him, turns around, shoots him. Right. And like, that could have happened. And so when I had him in the choke, for a second, he started ripping out my hair. And at that moment, I had this moment of clarity, and I said, thank goodness he doesn't have a knife. Because my here I am like this, and it's, you know, I'm like, okay, wow, that could have ended very badly. Like,
but you also know when a grown man is ripping at your hair, he definitely doesn't have a weapon.
Right,
You're like, I'm good.
Right, yeah. And then it became turning and looking for the other guy to see, like, he's not going to come hit me with a rock or something, is he? So, yeah.
But the other guy ditched him.
Yeah, he ditched him. Just totally ditched him.
You would think, too, that being on the reality show, as much as you're, I mean, idealistically you're a private person, but that's kind of gone out the window a little bit. Everybody knows that you're the guy we just talked about, who barely has cable, who's got a small house. John Cena's got a waterfall and a cliff to dive off of and all this stuff. Your house is the house that gets broken into.
Right. Yeah. Well, it was not a thing where they were targeting us because we're, mild celebrities or whatever, But
You were at the Kids' Choice Awards. You're a major celebrity.
Okay, but when we walked the red carpet, nobody wanted to talk to us. No. So it's like,
Who's the guy with that beard?
The guy with that beard. Oh, he looks sweaty. And but I can only imagine, they picked the wrong house, and not because of me, but because they walked in and they're like, what on earth are we going to steal? So we have okay, we just bought a new washer and dryer. What are you going to do? Carry that out?
Right. Although it was probably for both reasons. To be number one, we got nothing out of this house, and number two, this is the guy who we broke into the house who has nothing. Well, before we send you away, any idea of when you're going to be back?
No idea. And the problem is so we had scheduled the surgery for this coming Tuesday, and then this whole thing has been very frustrating in the sense that there's been debate about whether I need the second surgery, and so some people are like, yay, nay, and heard so many different opinions that the course of action to me was to not get surgery. Okay, unless we're convinced 100% that we need the surgery, don't get surgery. Then we decided last week, okay, we need the surgery. We're going to go get the surgery. I'm scheduled for it this week. I'm mentally prepared for it. And then they call me and they're like, well, this one study isn't conclusive, this thing. So it's like, but I don't want to get the surgery. Yeah. Nobody wants surgery. So now I'm crossing my fingers hoping that, okay, I hope I don't have to get the surgery. I hope I don't have to get the surgery. But if I do have to get the surgery, it's 3 months from then. So,
oh my God.
So if I do have to get it, I wanted to get it as soon as possible. Yeah. But, the hard part is just being in this limbo of people, saying you do need it, you don't need it, you do need it, you don't need it. And, it's hard to take, with the nervous system, it's just very difficult to understand. It's very complex. And so it's I was thinking that I could do it without surgery, and then I was convinced I needed surgery, and now I'm hoping that I can do it without it, so who knows.
But you don't sit at home thinking, you know what, maybe that's a career, maybe that's it.
It could be, but I don't see why it would be. I've had no indication that this could be the end of my career.
And mentally, you don't want it. Or are you ready for it to kind of just be it?
No. Oh yeah, no. I love wrestling. And so it's and it's hard because sometimes you see wrestling and I'm like, oh, I want to go wrestle. So and Bree is funny because sometimes when we're wrestling or when we're in bed or something and she's trying to hug me and I'm sneaking an arm bar and I'm like, and I start, and just because I've been wrestling since I was 18 years old, I don't I don't know what else to do with my time or my mental focus. Reading and all that kind of stuff is good, but there's not that outlet. When you read something, unless you can discuss it or write an essay about it, that nobody wants to read my essays on no place to hide or whatever,
I've started a podcast where I review books and talk about interesting concepts.
Right, yeah. And you know what? Maybe that's what I should be doing is starting a podcast and talking to interesting people because that would activate my brain. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't started that yet. I don't.
And you kind of had to, at some point, hope that they would not be making you do stuff like this, so you could say, maybe while I'm having surgery, I could shave? Maybe I could take the beard off?
Okay, so I don't know what your thought process is in thinking that I want to shave. Shaving would be this luxury that I could do that I want to do, that, oh, yeah, shaving is such a great, fun thing to do. It's no. The only thing that is bothersome about my beard is one, shampooing and conditioning it.
Sure.
And then two, occasionally food gets caught in it. But that's an easy fix with just a quick trim here. And so
you just take a pair of scissors and cut it off. That's what I do with my eyebrows.
Yeah. See, and that's funny because I went and did my friend's. I went and did it. I went to my friend. That's what happens when you go and when you're in. I went to my friend's wedding this past Saturday, which I never would have gotten to do.
Went to that wedding gimmick my friend was doing.
Which I never would have gotten to do had I not been hurt. But for that, Bree had me go to her friend, and she trimmed up my beard. And in the process, she trimmed my eyebrows with, scissors. And I was like, who does this? Yeah. And apparently regular people do it.
I guess. It happened right before my wedding. The girl who came in to style my wife's hair, cut my eyebrows with scissors, and I was like, I guess I should start doing this then.
Yeah, is this a real thing? Why would I do that? My eyebrows look fine. This is how humans have evolved to have eyebrows.
Right. Well, good luck with everything. We got to release you to some of these other people. Hopefully you're back soon. Thanks for hanging out.
Yep.